Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are really pulling apart the source material you provided us. We're going deep on a social platform that's, well, it's designed entirely around positive digital connection.
That's right. We're talking about MindSavi. And for you, the learner, the mission here is really to extract the essential architecture of this thing.
So we need to understand its core philosophy,
Hmm.
right? And the actual mechanics of how it's supposed to work.
Exactly. And the personal growth benefits the creator claims it delivers. I mean, this isn't just an app review. It's about understanding a system that's trying to turn passive scrolling into something active, something positive for, cognitive transformation.
Okay, so let's unpack that. The sources we have are from the creator himself, David Sherminsky.
Hmm.
And he describes MindSavi not as a typical social network, but as a dynamic platform for inspirational sharing.
Right. So if we're going to enter this ecosystem, we have to figure out what the currency is. What are people actually sharing?
Yeah, what's the content?
Well, what's fascinating here is how restrictive the guidelines are and, therefore how deliberate. It is not the digital equivalent of a water cooler chat.
So it's not just random thoughts.
Not at all. Users are explicitly encouraged to upload positive inspirations, affirmations, original ideas, and creative encouragements. They're looking for intentional content.
And the sources really stress this part, that the content has to include true life lessons that the user has personally benefited from. That feels like a really critical distinction.
It is. It implies a sort of an experiential vetting process. You can't just post a motivational quote you found on the internet. You have to attach a personal, validated experience to it.
So you have to have lived it.
Precisely. And that jump from simple theory to validated experience, that's the engine of the whole system. The act of sharing these lessons is meant to create what Sherminsky calls a rich tapestry of shared experiences.
Okay, that's some poetic language for an app. Yeah.
It is, but the goal is to build a community that thrives specifically on positivity and constructive engagement. It's fundamentally trying to separate itself from the friction and conflict models we see everywhere else.
So if the whole community is contributing these distilled positive life lessons, the goal is bigger than just connection. It's positioned as a catalyst for personal growth. The content is meant to encourage you to start changing your thinking in a positive way.
And if we connect that to, say, cognitive science, the platform is trying to foster an intellectual and emotional rewiring. The idea is that by constantly exposing yourself to and contributing these vetted positive lessons, you are actively transforming your own outlook.
So it moves from being a distraction to being a tool.
A tool for mental discipline, yeah.
But that does raise a practical question for me. If everyone is only sharing their perfected positive lessons, how does the platform handle the messy reality of life? Isn't that a bit?
That's a vital point. And the sources seem to address it, but indirectly, through the emphasis on quality and curation. The platform knows that if the content isn't robust, it just becomes motivational fluff. A true life lesson isn't just happy.
Oh, okay.
It has to show progress. It has to show how the user moved through a difficulty to find that positive outcome, which I think takes us perfectly into the mechanics of curation and engagement.
Let's talk brass tacks on that, because quality control is everything here. If you have thousands of people uploading lessons, the volume could just, overwhelm the value pretty quickly.
For sure. And the emphasis is placed heavily on the contributor. It's explicitly stated that users are encouraged to thoughtfully select and present their ideas. You don't just dump your thoughts onto a feed.
It sounds less like a diary and more like, submitting an article to a journal.
That's a great analogy. It has to be refined, clear, and beneficial to other people.
So what does that thoughtful selection actually look like on the app? How do users maximize the impact of their wisdom?
The sources detail a few specific methods. Number one is using authentic and engaging stories. The personal journey, the narrative arc, is vital. Second, clear, concise descriptions. And third, relevant tags.
So it's demanding structured narrative, not just unstructured data.
Yeah.
Which makes sure the content is both meaningful and discoverable.
Right, and that's key. But sharing isn't meant to be a monologue either. The collaboration aspect is huge. Sharing your story opens up opportunities for supportive feedback from the community.
How is that different from a standard comment section, which can be, let's be honest, a total dumpster fire?
Well, it's rooted in the philosophy that you're engaging with like-minded people who are all focused on growth, not debate. The feedback is meant to be supportive and encouraging. The sources stress active engagement beyond just posting your own thing.
Okay, so what does that active involvement entail? If I post my life lesson, what am I supposed to do next?
Active involvement is that engine. It means commenting genuinely on other people's posts, providing encouragement when a lesson resonates with you, and offering helpful, insightful perspectives. This activity is what enriches that collaborative atmosphere.
So it's a mutual investment. You contribute your hard-won lesson, and in return, you get constructive insight from other people on similar journeys. It almost sounds like a specialized, curated accountability group.
Exactly. And that creates a powerful, positive feedback loop. The content is constantly being refined and validated by the community, which in turn inspires new, high-quality contributions. It's a self-regulating system that's supposed to keep the quality high.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so if active contribution and curation are the price of admission, then MindSavi has to make the effort worth it, which means how good are the discovery tools? Let's talk about navigating this treasure trove of life lessons.
Right. If the quality is high, discovery becomes paramount. The sources say the user experience starts with a very user-friendly interface. I guess the idea is if the content is intellectually dense, the interface needs to be light and intuitive.
They call the whole collection a treasure trove. But here's the part I found interesting. The claim is that it contains affirmations and advice for a user's unique and niche calling and gifting in life. That's a mouthful.
It is. But when Cherwinski talks about that niche calling, he's implying a really specialized level of algorithmic filtering. Think about it. A normal platform lets you filter by, I don't know, health and wellness.
Right.
MindSavi seems to be aiming much deeper. It wants to connect you with wisdom about, say, managing anxiety as a third-shift software engineer or overcoming self-doubt as a specialized artist. Super specific stuff.
Wow. Okay, that would imply a search structure that's way more sophisticated than just keyword matching. How do the technical features actually help you find these lessons?
To cut through the noise, the sources mention intuitive filters and a powerful search function. The user needs to be able to pinpoint specific themes or styles, so they spend less time scrolling and more time engaging with relevant content.
It sounds less like browsing and more like targeted research. The sources also mention saving your favorite inspirations to create a personalized repository. Is that just a bookmarking feature?
It's designed to be more than that. This personalized repository is meant to be your own customized source of motivation. By saving the lessons that really resonate, you're essentially curating your own personal textbook for growth.
And I'm guessing the engagement doesn't stop once you've saved something.
Not at all. The system encourages you to loop back into the community. The sources stress engaging with the contributors whose work you saved, commenting, thanking them, and importantly, sharing those inspirations in your own networks.
So sharing the content externally helps grow the internal community. It's a cycle. You become a vector for spreading the platform's philosophy through your own trust network.
It's a very clever way to expand the ecosystem while keeping that quality control. The users who share the content are implicitly vetting it for their friends.
Okay, so if the mechanics are all about thoughtful sharing, quality curation, and targeted discovery, we need to talk about the broader philosophical impact, the why behind this whole thing. What are the results Cherwinski is promising?
This is where the ambition really comes through. The sources claim that this whole act of structured sharing serves as a catalyst for building genuine relationships. Because the connection is based on shared values, growth, positivity, the relationships are supposedly deeper than those built on, fleeting interests.
And they link this diverse exposure to real benefits like enhanced creativity and innovation. How does that work? How does consuming positive life lessons make you more creative?
Well, it's a crucial claim, and it's rooted in the idea of diverse intellectual inputs. The argument is that creativity stalls when we only talk to people just like us. By immersing yourself in the curated ideas of others, especially from different niche callings, you get exposed to totally new frameworks.
So you find new angles and approaches to your own problems.
Exactly. It enriches your personal or professional journey. The collective intelligence of MindSavi is meant to be a creativity accelerator for you, the individual.
So the platform basically aims to be a shortcut to wisdom.
That's a good way to put it. The sources summarize the whole thing by saying the app contributes to a vibrant ecosystem that inspires positivity, nurtures personal growth, and celebrates the diverse authenticity of each one's journey of the soul, which is an incredibly high bar for a mobile app to set for itself.
It really is. But if you boil down all that lofty language, what we've been talking about is a system designed to leverage collective, positive, curated wisdom for individual betterment. And the creator sums it up with a pretty neat phrase: your brain and your future self will thank you.
That phrase says it all. It directly targets the learner. someone who actively invests in their future through positive habits and knowledge. It's promising transformation, not just distraction.
So, to sum up our deep dive, MindSavi isn't just a place to share nice thoughts. It's an ambitious system that mandates thoughtful curation and uses focused discovery tools to drive a very specific kind of cognitive change.
And this whole methodology is clearly part of a much larger philosophical project by Cherwinski. The other content mentioned in the sources has titles like Changing the World One Mind at a Time and Rewiring Your Brain Through Daily Scripture Reading.
So the app is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle.
A very practical component in a life philosophy aimed at fundamental, systemic, positive change.
That connection between the app's mechanics and the bigger philosophical goal is absolutely essential. And since that philosophy relies so heavily on thoughtful presentation demanding authentic and engaging stories, I think that raises a really important question for you, the learner, to think about.
If the success of the whole platform rests on the integrity of this highly curated, authentic content, how does that necessary filtering process influence the reality we choose to share about our own journeys?
See, exactly. Is that selective sharing itself a powerful form of personal growth? Forcing us to distill our lessons into coherent, helpful stories? Or is there tension there? What is the balance between true vulnerability and the thoughtful, almost professional presentation required to connect on a platform like this?
That is something to mull over. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the architecture of positive social connection.
We'll see you in this deep dive.